When it comes to being financially successful, a good budget plays a big role in that. Here at Financial Anatomy, we call that strengthening your financial core so that those funds go where they're supposed to go to make you more well-rounded and more financially savvy. In the following video, you're going to learn 5 financial tips that will make you a better budgeter and make sure those funds are serving you in the best way they can. So, let's get into the video. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video produced by Financial Anatomy, the place where you will learn how to take control of your financial destiny. And this is going to be another video in the 5 financial tips series, and we're going to focus on budgeting in this video, which I'm pretty excited for. For those of y'all that don't know me, my name is Elijah, and after being upset with how the school system has failed young adults when it comes to personal finance, I've decided to make a YouTube channel focused on that very topic. See, I've been self-employed for about 3.5 years. I've worked at companies such as Amazon and Whole Foods, been part of network marketing companies in the past. And I used to own my own business called Indigenous Remedies, where I sold herbal capsules and herbal teas. And I feel obliged to pass the lessons I learned financially on to you, the viewer. With that being said, let's hop into the topic of the video, which is 5 financial tips when it comes to a successful budget. The first financial tip is probably one that's overlooked, but make sure you pick the right bank or banks to do business with. I know you're thinking, what are you talking about? So many people just pick who they want to bank with based on very not thought out reasons. I'll give you an example. Someone may choose to bank with a certain bank just because they're around the corner. Now that in itself is not a bad reason, but that's literally the only reason. Let's say that same bank has absurd overdraft fees, absurd minimum balance fees, and they have monthly maintenance fees. On top of that, the interest they pay in savings and checking accounts are laughable. Does it really make sense to bank with them when you take all that into consideration? So this boils down to just look at the numbers and look at the policies. Some key universal things I always look at when deciding on if I want to do business with a bank is, what is their checking interest? What is their savings interest? Do they have any overdraft fees? Do they have any monthly maintenance fees? And also proximity. Is there one close to where I live? As well as, is there a lot in my city? So if I'm out and about, I want to deposit money. Will I have to, do some yard work to actually find one? Or there's a lot. I'm not saying I find a bank all the time that has every one of those. That'd be perfect, but let's be realistic here. But if you can have at least half to 3/4 of things on that list, in my book, it's a-okay. So you want to have a checklist as far as what a bank account should have if you should do business with them. And by do business, I just mean banking with them. I'm not talking about literal business. I mean like putting your money there, etc. Financial tip number 2 on how to have a successful budget is to analyze it for frivolous expenses. What's a frivolous expense? It's an expense that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Now, we have rewards based on, what we do, but sometimes we have expenses that might just be a little impractical. I'll give you an example of me in my younger days. So I would have an expense on going to the gym, and the gym membership cost something. Now, that itself isn't a bad expense. But for me, when times were getting a little hard, that expense probably should have went, because I have the P90X, the Insanity workouts, dumbbells, a pull-up and push-up bar. So I have all this stuff at home that's not going to inhibit me from working out. So the gym membership, that's a bonus. If, let's say I fall on hard times, that's a luxury that should probably go away, because I have so many things at home I can still do a workout with. And that's an example of just examining a budget for expense that really doesn't need to be there. There are several other examples I could give, but we'd be here for probably 2 hours. But I'm sure you get the gist. Just analyze your budget to make sure there aren't any expenses that don't need to be there. And keep an eye out for reoccurring expenses because usually those are the ones that slip under the radar the most. Financial tip number 3 when it comes to having a successful budget is to know where the cash is going, or in other words, cash flow management. See, back in the day, everything literally used to be done by hand, so all financial records had to be written down. That was kind of like a blessing and a curse because, yeah, you had to write all this stuff down, but on the same token, you were kind of forced to know where everything was going. Nowadays, because of technology, all this is done automated via phones, via apps, via banking. It's all tracked automatically. Now, the funny thing about this is this can be a blessing and a curse too. It depends on which one you're going to let it be. It can be a blessing because all the accounting is done for you. All you need to do is keep an eye on it. But it's a curse if you don't. You just swipe your debit card and you just keep going about your day and you never look at your financial statement. And before you know it, you just don't know where you stand financially. Well, the easy way around this is to just look at your financial statement. And I make a habit of looking at it on a daily basis, maybe before I go to sleep, or at the very, very minimum, a weekly basis. See, these banking systems that are out nowadays, they show how much you've made on a monthly basis, how every single transaction. Just keep an eye on it, okay? You don't have to be a financial accountant to do this, although you could always hire one and that makes the process easier. But like I said, just keep an eye on this because so many people, especially young adults, we just swipe the debit card. We don't keep an eye on our finances. And we end up in this financial quagmire where at the end of every month, we really haven't made any financial progress. We spent as much as we made. And half of the stuff we spent the money on is not doing us any good. So let's just be honest. Keep an eye on where the money's going. And you can do that just by reviewing your financial statements, reviewing your banking information, just once a week at the very minimum. Financial tip number 4 is to have a savings account and actually contribute to it on a consistent basis. Now, the first one, I say probably a lot of y'all have. Y'all probably do have a savings account, but a lot of y'all may not be contributing on a regular basis. And the way this is done it's easiest if you just set up automated transfers to go towards the savings. Now, I'm not going to go heavy into savings because I've already made a video on that. If you want to know more about it, then you want to click the link in the top right hand corner where I cover the fundamentals of savings and why it's so important. But you should just have this set up on autopilot. The only exception is if you have over a year's worth of savings. At that point, that's too much. You need to start taking that extra money and investing it, or doing financial tip number 5, which is saving for retirement. I put these two in 2 separate categories because they belong in separate categories, separate tips. Savings, that's for, life is going to happen and you need money to pull from. Retirement is obviously for you later in life, and you need to set up a plan to contribute to that on a regular basis. Now, I can hear some people saying, well, I don't have the extra money to contribute. It's more the principle than the actual money amount. It could be something as small as $10 or $20 a week or a month or whatever. The point is that you get in the habit of putting something there. And things are going to improve as long as you're sincere about seeing them improve. And when they do, you can increase the amount you put in your retirement. Just start it now. So if you're in it doesn't matter what age, but I'm going to say in your mid 20s or late 30s, this is very key because you're going to really, really appreciate that down the line. And it's going to make you feel a little better just in general financially. Because when you have something that's just building up based on your efforts, it's going to give you just a little more financial confidence even during the down times. And when retirement finally does hit, you're not going to be like probably 70% of the population that didn't plan for it. You're actually going to be set. While we're on the topic of retirement in general, you also want to pick the right retirement account for you to actually contribute to. If you want to know more about that, you can check out my retirement accounts playlist where I go into what is a 401k, what is a Roth 401k, what is a traditional IRA, what's a Roth IRA, what's a SEP IRA. Can't go to it in this video because we'd be in here for a while, but that's what that playlist is for. So if you're interested, consider checking that out. And there we have it. Those are 5 financial tips on how to make you a better budgeter. And by you being a better budgeter by default, you're going to be more financially successful. What's the point of making more money if that money goes in and out and you don't see any benefit of it? These tips will help you see the benefit of your efforts. If you like this video, consider giving it a like for the YouTube algorithm, much appreciated, and comment below, what's your story with budgeting and which one of these tips was your favorite? Which one are you gonna just implement right now immediately since you heard it? If you're new, consider subscribing and also consider joining the Financial Anatomy newsletter, where you can stay up to date with new videos and articles being released. And you'll also get my free ebook, Still My Financial Blueprint, where I share the financial blueprint I've used for years that's made me financially successful. This is Elijah with Financial Anatomy. I will catch you in the next video. Don't forget to get out there and take control of your financial destiny.